Hey, it's Stacy Richter here, the Marketing Mindbender, coming at you with another Marketing Mindbender moment. This is about how to wow. I'm here with Treeka Drake at the One Love Float Studio, here to talk about all the little things that she does to wow all of the clients that come in through your float studio, and I'm super excited to have her here today. So thanks, Treeka, for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming.
Awesome, this is great. So Treeka, for everybody who's watching, tell us a little bit about One Love Float Studio, why you started this business, and what you're really doing for people here.
Okay, so that was a lot of information in one time.
That's right.
So One Love's been around for almost 5 years, and I got started because of my first float that I had. It was kind of before it went kind of popular. We found this basement float tank, had a great time. Then we did this big tour of other float centers, and by the time I got back, I was like, I'm selling the house, I'm buying a float tank, and then like a year later this happened. So it's kind of primarily just for people to kind of find themselves. Everyone has a different reason for why they float. It can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional, it can just be to unplug for 1 full hour. We're just so overstimulated, so it's kind of a little bit of a sanctuary, a self-sanctuary. So that's kind of the biggest thing. It's just like, come, be you, do your own thing, be awesome. Yeah.
That's very cool. So, we were having a conversation earlier about, spa versus studio, and I'm really intrigued about why it's One Love Float Studio versus spa. Can you talk to everybody about that side of it?
Absolutely. So, when I first started, I thought I was going to be, so we were a home studio, and I thought, okay, good, I'm going to figure out the business, do it out of my house, and then I'm going to go brick and mortar. So it's 5 years later, I'm choosing to stay in my house.
Yeah.
Because a spa does kind of feel like that place downtown that you go to, fancy robes, they do everything for you. It's a service of pampering.
Right.
My relationship with floating, it's not so much pampering. It's nice to come and relax. That's definitely part of it. But you definitely need to be part of the experience. So we like people to show up prepared to do and have their cultivated float in their own way. So we kind of, floats start way before you even show up here. Right. It's like the minute you book the float, you start thinking about the float, maybe you have an intention around it, maybe you have a float playlist on the way over here. So it's about you creating the experience. We kind of hold the container, but it's really up to you to kind of create what you get. So what you put in is what you'll get out.
That's a great point you made there about, creating the experience. And there seems to be a lot of co-creating going on here.
Absolutely.
So you're providing the inspiration and the environment, and then the people who come and float in your studio, they get to bring in part of their own expectations and curate their own experience within your float studio. Is that fair to say?
Totally fair.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is about how to wow. Mm-hmm. So the core business and service here is about floating, which is a pretty wow experience just on its own. But you do so much more than just providing this platform for people to come and float. Can you talk about some of the things you've done to wow some of your clients who come and float in your studio?
Absolutely. So I can not really even take most of the credit for this.
Okay.
It's come from people. So being a good listener, we kind of catch things. So people will be like, it'd be really cool if. And it's like, let's try that. An example of this is in the float rooms, we have a little vial of salt, and so on it says intention salt.
Right.
So people can feel like they're part of, so they get to kind of put their intention into the salt, put it into their float, and as the salt's dissolving, they're kind of being part of that process. That did not come from me, they came from a floater. So kind of have those little touches. So we like put names up on the boards. Every week we put a new float mantra. Twofold. One, it gives something for someone to focus on if they haven't thought about that. Two, it's actually educating and providing resources for people how to float. Right?
Okay.
So whether it's about breathing or letting go or trying things differently, little tips. Also in the float room, we have like a little float tip board.
Right.
Same thing, every week we'll change that up just to give new ideas for people that are looking to kind of create this as a practice.
Right.
Other little things that most people don't notice are, we have like, my mom, she's so cute. So they snowboard in Mexico, and she runs the beach, and she'll pick up all these heart-shaped rocks. So when we were building this out,
cool.
One Love, which was so fitting, we've planted probably hundreds of heart-shaped rocks in the floors, in our thresholds, for the doorways.
I didn't even notice that.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
When we were building out the place, most of the walls behind the paint have float wishes, intentions.
Wow.
Every time we do maintenance and we pull apart the tanks, we'll like put little like float wishes on there, or intentions about how we want to like infuse the space with. So a lot of people just have this sense that it feels different here, right? So it's like kind of intentionally walk into the space. It has a different kind of frequency or feel to it, and then you leave again. So it's it's like its own little dome.
You know, man, that's a really cool story. I've been floating here for a year or two now, and I didn't even know about those things. So, and that's right, and that's what I love about experience and a lot of the wow factor. There's the little wows that we notice, but if you didn't notice, it doesn't mean you didn't get impacted by that. And it's all about how it makes you feel versus the things you know. And you've done a lot of those little things.
That comment is very float-like, right? So it's like if we go into our float thinking and noticing and analyzing, it's kind of a frustrating float a little bit to be in that mind space, but it really is about when we drop into the body, into the heart, and just feel it. It's a different language, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much, and one of those things, and I'm going to drop this bomb on you. We didn't talk about this earlier. A lot of entrepreneurs are out there watching this video right now, and floating, mindset and personal health is a big issue for entrepreneurs. We spend so much time worrying about our businesses and our employees, and there's that level of stress. Can you talk about how floating helps entrepreneurs kind of get out of their own body so they can be refreshed, revived, whatever that happens to be, so they can be the best in their business they can possibly be?
Totally. So the biggest thing here is I want to just kind of umbrella this answer with floating is very personal, and it's very much about the individuals. So, but what I've seen, have a lot of small business owners that come in here for a bunch of different reasons. One being like the burnt out, and so just unplugging from everything. They can go into the sensory reduction space and let it all go. There's a profound space that shows up when, we can work. It's not really about working more. It's about working smarter. Right? So for me, the biggest thing that shows up is I go in the tank, an hour, 4 hours, doesn't matter. I come back out and I feel creative. I think about things differently. I have new perspectives, because what's happening in there is most of us are left brain. We're into time, deadlines, creating, sending out emails, but in there it allows this right brain to come forward. So we start to synchronize the two hemispheres, and then different parts of the brain can start to talk.
Oh, really?
So then that's where we come up with new ideas, and you're like, no one's doing this, but this could totally work, or I've been chewing on this for months and there's the answer. So the creativity factor is huge. The body, most of us, we just keep prioritizing work because that's our passion, that's what we want to be doing. But the self-care thing, which is super huge and trendy right now, but it actually is a real thing.
And that's a great point, because as entrepreneurs, we feel that we don't have a lot of time to take away and spend doing self-care, which is why vacations usually get sacrificed, long weekends usually get sacrificed. But through my own experience, and of course, hearing your story, you can really compound, a couple of days worth of escape in an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours worth of floating, and then get right back to it. And not only will you be refreshed, you'll be 10 times more effective because your thoughts are clearer and your ideas are better.
Absolutely. So it's kind of that old Buddhist proverb, right? If you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, you need to meditate for an hour.
Good point.
Right? Because you get it on the back end. So it's like you have no time. If you create that small window, 1 hour, you'll have ample time, because the things that no longer matter fall to the bottom. Things that are actually exciting and a part of the priority come forward, and you have momentum behind it. So you're actually creating time.
Awesome. And I'm glad we went down this rabbit hole. It wasn't my intention to talk about, the benefits of self-care and floating, but this is the space we're in, and this is where the ideas flow. So getting back to how to wow.
Okay.
So we're in your float studio, but floating and that service isn't the only thing you do. You've got lots of other practices that are linked to floating and self-care.
Yeah, so floating, because it is so personal, it kind of can apply itself wherever you want to kind of create some momentum behind. So community is really big. I really think for any small business, it's the community that we're part of, the partnerships we create, and I just get to meet really cool humans. Cool humans float, just straight up. This is like what I love to do. And then they have like things that just make them so badass. So it's like last weekend we had a girl that does lucid dreaming. She comes in and floats, and then she like has these whole like unfoldings. And I was like, that's cool. We should definitely do a workshop, because it's the same thing. Like there's transference between all these different things that people do. So whether it's breath work, whether it's massage, whether it's yoga, whether it's lucid dreaming. Sometimes we do fun things around psychonauts. Like it's like wherever the interest is, we can go there and apply floating. So
and I just get so invigorated by that stuff, because what you're doing applies to every small business out there. We all have our core services as entrepreneurs, but how do we add value beyond what we do for somebody day to day or week to week or month to month? And you found a way to do that by bringing in other things that your customers would be interested in without expectation. This is all just part of the wow experience, and you providing that value for them.
Stacey, I think like the biggest thing that I've learned since the beginning is like when I first started, it was always about like, what do people want? What do I think outside myself? So as soon as I started, I was telling you this earlier, selfishly, I just want to learn about cool things like breath work and lucid dreaming and whatever, couples floats and all these good things. So it's more, when it becomes a bit more personal, and it's like coming from that authentic place where you're like, I just want other people to know about this really cool human, and I want to learn about it, so others are going to want to learn about it. It just seems to have a totally different feel. It doesn't feel like, oh, we need to do this to make money. You're making money anyways, and you're having a good time at it.
That's a perfect philosophy for any business owner, whether you own a float studio or you're a carpenter or in a construction industry, whatever it happens to be. That's very cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Very cool. So obviously I've been a client here a little bit.
Yes. I would love actually for you to tell me about your first float experience, because it's I always love those ones. And then what you found was the wow.
Interesting. No, I'd love to share that. So my very first float experience, I was super nervous. I'm not a spa guy by any stretch, and I was actually introduced to you and One Love through a mutual friend of ours. And again, you obviously wowed him if he referred me to you and try this. So I came in a complete newbie. I walked in, I had my backpack on, my towel, and change of my swim clothes, not knowing at all what to expect. And it wasn't you that was here for my first float. And the woman that you had working with her, I can't remember her name. Brenna. Yeah. So Brenna, if you catch this video, sorry for your name, but I've never forgotten you, so thank you very much. But Brenna was awesome. She made me feel instantly comfortable. But what was really fun about it was, we sat down and she gave me the float instruction, because there's some very rigorous pre-cleaning you need to do. The shower is very specific, right? The types of soaps you need to use before you get into the float tank. And great about that. And I was a little apprehensive because, I'm a pretty shy guy, even though you can't tell on video. And, I was ready to put my swim trunks on and get in a float tank, and Brenna was pretty clear, no, this is nudie nude. And right then, that's when I started feeling really comfortable. So my float is, just like you said, you told me before, it takes a couple of floats to get into it. Just like, you don't go to the gym and get fit overnight. You don't go to a yoga studio and become flexible overnight. So it takes a couple of times of practice. But the experience itself was incredible. After my first float and every float since, when I float for an hour, I feel like I've gotten 2 to 3 hours worth of rest. And come out and it's that rejuvenating. And my first float was incredible, so obviously I keep coming back. It's been about 2 years, but in talking about this topic, how to wow, I started noticing all these little things, right? The chalkboards with your name on it, the float tanks, and the float tanks have names. I thought that was really cool. Sam and Ed, and so they have personality. And
they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And those are some of the obvious ones, but I think most recently, this is one that I caught. One wow factor is the float intention little whiteboard, where as a floater I get to go in and write what my float intention down is. But this time, and there was a little personal note on it. That was a small attention to detail. That's one I noticed. And there's hundreds of them in your studio here. I could literally walk around with the camera for an hour and a half and not catch all the footage of all the different things. Those are just the ones I can see. Never mind the ones that you talked about earlier. So
secret ones.
Yeah, the secret ones. So I think my wow experience as a client of yours is that it's how I leave feeling about being here. And I've actually taken a lot of what I've learned about some of the things you're doing, some tactical things, and then of course just making sure that when I'm having an interaction with a client, a prospect, a lead, a vendor, any type of relationship, that I leave them feeling a certain way. Because people remember not what you did or said, but how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
So that's my float experience.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I think you touched on this other piece too, is I think people really just were missing connection. So yes, there's Facebook and social media where we feel connected, but it's like this really lonely connection. So when there's an availability and a space of potential to have a conversation, a lot of times people are like, I cannot believe I even told you that or shared that.
Yeah.
But it's a safe space, and there's just this beautiful opportunity to connect intimately and authentically with other people and really get to know them. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky.
You're very lucky. And what I love about what you just said is that applies to every business. It does, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a mortgage broker, whatever. If you take that attitude and what you've been able to create and curate that experience, there's lots of different ways to do that in every business.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So Treeka, before we wrap up here, now everybody's totally jazzed about floating and getting the business. Where can they reach out to you? Where can they come find One Love Float Studio and find you?
Yeah, we make it pretty simple. So you can email, you can phone us, you can go on Facebook, or Instagram. It's just One Love Float as the handles. Just whatever feels good, that's what you do. Or just come by. Come say hi, come for tea. We love talking, obviously.
That's awesome. So I'm Stacey Richter, the Marketing Mindbender. This has been a marketing moment about how to wow with Treeka Drake at One Love Float Studio. Thanks again, Treeka. Much appreciated. Thanks.